Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Post. My next guest is a versatile social media and digital coordinator with a hand in all aspects of social media management, from employee advocacy to organic and page social campaigns. With a passion for social media and a background in television, he produces engaging content for the Pontoon Solutions pages. He joined Pontoon Solutions in April 2022 following his first job as a television host in Kansas, where he co-hosted and produced the daytime television program Good Day Kansas. When he's not scrolling on social media, he can be found at a comedy club or trying to finish the day's crossword or rooting for his beloved New York Giants and Knicks. So join me in welcoming our guest, Josh Silverman. Josh, are you ready to go behind the post with me?
I'm ready. Such a nice introduction. Thank you.
Amazing. Only the best introduction. So to get us started, please can you tell our listeners a bit about what your role entails?
Yes, so I was hired to join Pontoon Solutions in April of 2022, managing all of our external communications, mostly through social media, different organic and paid channels, along with employee advocacy as well. Basically started owning the employee advocacy initiatives right when I joined, and have been focused really on growing Pontoon's social media presence, but also the presence of our colleagues as well.
Amazing. So, on the presence of your colleagues and your employees, this episode, we're going to be talking all about the employee advocacy program that you built at Pontoon Solutions. But I think it's also really interesting to highlight that Pontoon Solutions is a remote company. And a lot of our listeners are probably also part of a remote company or have global teams like myself, where they're trying to rally their employees' support for employee advocacy, but you can't have that face-to-face connection and conversation. So for us, we need to find an exciting and engaging way of getting our employees excited and confident about sharing this content, but doing it over Zoom. So as Pontoon Solutions is a remote company, how do you go about training them through Zoom meetings when you can't have that face-to-face interaction?
Yeah, I think it's always a little bit of an interesting point, an interesting question, because when you lose the face to face, I mean, you do lose a lot of personally showing someone, hey, these are the benefits, this is how to use the platform, different things like that. What we've really taken advantage of is training platforms. And so with a lot of our colleagues, not only in the US where I sit, but also in APAC and EMEA, we're not always online at the same time or available at the same time. So a few different training platforms, and I've created different courses to help colleagues understand how to use the platform and the benefits of it. So started, when I joined, creating a course that was about 16, 17 minutes. And as I've kind of evolved and tried to update the course, I've really tried to hone in on, okay, what are the most important parts? Because even if you can save colleagues 10 minutes, they'll be grateful for that.
Yeah.
So we have the course down to about 7 minutes right now. People can view that on demand. And in addition, just make myself available to join different teams. So I had a call around 8:30 my time this morning. It was 4:30 for them. So, their end of day. But, trying to just make things work like that and joining teams when I can. And then in addition, is word of mouth colleagues who use the platform a lot, trying to get them to talk to their colleagues about it. When people author thought leadership, we reach out to everyone on that team to say, hey, in the coming weeks, we're going to be uploading a piece of content authored by one of your teammates. If you want to be able to easily share that, and support your teammate, here's how to do it. I can join, any upcoming team calls or create one of our own to just spend 10 to 15 minutes walking through the platform and, any questions that you may have.
Yeah, definitely. It's so interesting how you use the word of mouth as well, but the training videos, I think, is a really good idea because they can see the platform that you're using and really understand how to use it. And the fact that you get it down, I think the shorter it is, the more inclined they are to listen to it and learn from it. And it also gives them like the key takeaways very quickly.
And it's on demand, so they can view it at any time. I send it, in a
Yeah.
follow-up email whenever I do trainings, just to say, hey, I spent 15 minutes with the team. Here's 7 minutes if you ever need to go back to it. It has all the screen recordings, like a
Amazing.
walkthrough, like I've never used it before.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's super valuable.
Yeah, definitely valuable. So I know you have all these amazing trainings now. So how did you choose your advocates in your company?
Yeah, so anyone at the company can be an advocate. We do encourage anyone and everyone to sign up. Again, you may not feel like it's something you want to use now. You may only use it once when someone you're familiar with, a teammate or a colleague that you're very friendly with does offer thought leadership. Then you can easily do it and support them. And that may be the one time, that you use it, and it's still valuable then. But anyone can be an advocate. Obviously, external facing people, we really try to hammer home, we're sharing case studies, we're sharing thought leadership, we're sharing gated content. You should be sharing this as well. It's an easy win. And we upload the captions and the content for you. So there's not much that needs to be done on your end, but anyone can be an advocate. We do try to encourage everyone to sign up. And at the end of the day, not everyone may want to be online like that and have a presence like that. But my ask is sign up and try it. And at least then you've tried it and you've learned it's not for you, but just to keep an open mind and at least enroll, then you always have it if something gets uploaded where you do really connect with the topic, whether that be a piece of Pontoon content or external content, which we always include so colleagues don't feel like they're necessarily only sharing, stuff that we're producing, content that we're producing. They can have different topics and different, pages and sources of content to help really grow their page.
Definitely. I think that's really important, having the content mix, whether it's the topic types, because everyone's going to have different interests, but also the different pieces of where they're coming from. It's also important for how they look when they're posting content out. And I love that you said that you give everyone the option. Like, they always have the option to post and the doors never close, which I think is a really good welcoming thing to do, because a lot of people might not be like straight away, this is what I want to do. They just need time to ease into it.
Exactly.
So with taking time to ease into it, some employees are social enthusiasts who are easy to engage in an advocacy program. I feel like maybe both of us have experience with this, but there also are other employees that are shy or nervous about posting publicly online. So what steps do you take to build the confidence in these employees that feel this way?
Yeah, so I think for anyone who's not confident posting online, one thing that I always say, and I don't know if it's necessarily the most comforting messaging, but I really do think it's the truth. It's that no one remembers what anyone posts, right? You may remember for a little bit, but no one is, it's kind of like if you are showing up and you're like nervous about your outfit, odds are everyone else is nervous about their outfit and focusing on their outfit, and no one's really looking at yours. Not in a way that no one's reading your content, but just in the idea of like people just take everything at face value. So there's no reason to be so self-conscious about it because everyone else is posting and thinking about their posts and their reactions in a good way. And so there should be nothing necessarily holding you back. Again, I do understand that some people plainly just do not want to be out there like that. And I think you have to respect that because you would never want to, at least I don't want to force anyone to do or post anything that they don't want to, especially this is their professional, LinkedIn. They're going to own it for the rest of their life. They should never be posting anything that they don't want to, but we try to mention, you can rewrite the captions. You can post your own content through the platform. You don't have to necessarily post what we're uploading. You can just use it as a scheduling and management platform. Like there are so many different ways to go about it. So try to just mention all that, educate them on the benefits, and then give them some encouragement and then offer my availability. Hey, if you're ever unsure about anything, just bring it to me. I'm happy to be another set of eyes. I'm happy to direct any questions to the wider marketing team if you have them. So I think it's all that. And then the idea of, sometimes you just have to go for it. Sometimes you just have to jump on the podcast or share a piece of content or whatever. And it's social media. Yeah. It's okay to have a bit of fun and try some new things.
That's definitely true. I love the outfit analogy, first of all. Yeah. And secondly, I think it's so important to keep that door open and be there for support, because even like the most enthusiastic advocates, would need the support at the beginning anyway. So to get them to that point where they're posting online, they're confident with it, really having that door open with marketing is so crucial and so important. So back to the kind of content, you mentioned it a bit before with the topics, but what kind of content do you encourage them to share?
Yeah, so we upload 3 to 5 pieces of content per week. A lot of it is determined by what Pontoon itself is producing within our marketing team and our wider group. We pull a lot of content from our parent company and sister companies as well. But then each week, I make sure, like without fail, to include one piece of content from a source that has nothing to do with Pontoon, nothing to do with our parent company, the Advocacy Group, hopefully nothing to do with even staffing, because again, we want to make sure that people feel like they can really have wide-ranging topics to choose from and that their network can connect to. So it's a lot of soft skills is a big thing. AI, obviously, we're gonna get a lot of topics, a lot of clicks from that. Yeah. Some things on, maybe best ways to use social media to find that next job. Like whenever you can connect it back to LinkedIn, we see a ton of hits on content like that. In the summer, we do a lot on like, make sure you take your PTO, how to not feel burnt out, how to use the summer to your advantage, kind of things like that. So we try to make it timely, relevant if there's, a global month that's being observed. Of course, we're a global company, So sometimes it may be a month that's being recognized in the US, but if it's not globally, then we can't, it's kind of tricky on, okay, how do you utilize that? And then at the holiday time, it's kind of easy to find some content around there. A lot of Forbes, Harvard Business Review are usually like really, really good and can be universal, not overly long. And so we try to make sure that, that's always included. And then for Pontoon, again, a lot of it depends on the content that's actually being produced. But a lot of case studies, thought leadership, gated content, different reports and white papers. We sort of look at it holistically week to week and then also month to month. Okay, what have we really been focusing on this month? How did it perform? What can we do differently moving forward? And what may be a blind spot, for what our colleagues are posting. And the last thing is encouraging them, post any topic that you want, but just give it a second or two of due diligence. Know that anything that we're uploading for you has gone through the proper checks, including the captions. But anything else, make sure that it's painting not only Pontoon, but yourself in a positive light. If you want to give a controversial or more out there take that you truly believe in, make sure it's backed up, make sure that, it's something that you'll stand by in a year from now. But yeah, just do your due diligence if it's something that we're not uploading for you.
Yeah, that's super helpful to anyone listening as well, because I feel like sometimes we get to a point where we're like, okay, we want to put something new up on the board, but we're like wondering what kind of topics would resonate. And I think also looking and seeing what people are sharing and what is performing is a really good way to keep it going. So one of the main
Sometimes I'll see someone post something like one of our advocates that I didn't upload. Oh, that was a great art. I wish I posted that. I wish I did that for them. Maybe I will.
Yeah, I do it all the time. I see my advocates posting something and I'm like, wow, that was a really good idea. Why didn't I think about it?
Exactly.
So obviously one of the main reasons why we run employee advocacy programs is because our advocates have a really large reach. It makes a huge impact on building brand awareness around key marketing campaigns, and the collective reach of our advocates is 99.9% more likely to be more than the reach of our corporate pages anyway. So how do you use advocacy to align with what's going on in your overall strategy and make sure that your advocates are aware of these important stories to share with their network so they can get more attention?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exactly what we try to do. And in my decks that I present, I have a few stats that you guys have talked about, because it shows like employee advocacy is the #1 most effective form of social media marketing, for us at least. I mean, it's a stat that you guys have, but it's backed up by our data in terms of website clicks. I don't know the exact numbers at this point in the year, but when I was doing 6-month reviews, it was 3 or 4 times more, through advocacy. And I think a big thing that I try to communicate and educate to our colleague base is, you may think that everyone's posting, see the same post over and over again. But what you don't realize is that people in your network are not seeing posts multiple times, because you've met them at a conference, you've grown up with them, you went to university with them, whatever it is, you worked at another job with them. They're connected to you, maybe 1 or 2 other people from Pontoon, but that's most likely it. And so you may be seeing it multiple times, but it's so effective because they're just seeing it once. And it's coming from a person, not a corporation. It's easier for a corporation, or more expected for a corporation, to talk positively about their articles and their people. But when an individual does it, it's so much more effective. And that's backed up by data 2.5 years still into our program. So, I think that's one of the biggest things. And then, of course, any initiative that we're creating, any campaigns that are being started or ongoing, of course, will be sent through there. And I think that's also a nice thing, because some colleagues, we have internal tools, obviously, to communicate with different colleagues, and we cascade different activation decks out on how colleagues can promote, the new campaigns. But I think this is some of it for them too, because every week they're seeing what we're posting. So they're already ahead of, where they may be if they weren't necessarily aware of, what some of the new initiatives may be. And so that's great. And then in addition, it's always great to launch a campaign and to know, hey, the queue's going out on Monday, we can expect a big boost in the first couple of days, because we're putting out through advocacy. So that's always really nice to see.
Definitely. I think it's so interesting, because you can have such a big impact, like you're saying, when your advocates are posting and building up the noise for you and the buzz online around your campaigns. And it's really useful to have them on board to help you do that. But then we also need to maintain that. So what strategies do you use to maintain their engagement and excitement, especially when sometimes the initial excitement does wear off?
Of course, and I think, that's normal as well. Like anything else, it's an exciting tool, and then people learn, hey, I always encourage people to look at their results. How many clicks am I generating? Am I generating traffic within my network? If they use it for a month or two and it's not really, then I understand if they, again, it's back from the beginning. I can only ask them to try and keep an open mind. For those that really do stay with it and share with it every week, and even those who do fall off, I'm big on the education part and the results. And so at the end of my presentations, I say, I know I've done all the talking, but here are a few quotes from colleagues that you probably have worked with on how they use the tool, why they use it. And one tool, I use a stat again from you guys that advocates grow their pages on average 10% per year. We had a colleague who's seen a 600% increase in
Wow.
1 year. Now, when you go from barely posting to posting 4 times in a week, you're going to see a massive increase. He has a big network anyway. So I tell colleagues don't expect that, but that's maybe the ceiling. That's how much of an increase you can see in 1 year by sharing a lot of posts, and that's 600% is for impressions and engagements, not necessarily clicks, but still, when you're trying to grow your page, you want those impressions. That's how you make new connections and you get yourself out there.
Yeah.
So I think when people hear that and they can really understand how beneficial it can be if their goal is to grow their page. That's something that's really beneficial in addition to educating them on for Pontoon. When I put the stats side by side of, hey, this is our corporate page with 195,000 followers, and this is our advocacy that has X amount of colleagues that share the post. Again, 3, 8, 11 clicks from one person adds up when you have so many people. And so I think when you can kind of connect the dots on that and educate, it keeps people more engaged in addition to, some people just really care about growing their pages. And this is like the perfect tool for them.
Yeah.
And the perfect way for them to do it.
Definitely. I think some of our advocates have a personal stake in it and they want to be a thought leader. They want to be an expert in their industry and they want to build that following on LinkedIn and network. So I think that in itself encourages them to keep going. But then also, I just want to pull back what you said at the beginning about showing them their results. Sometimes when they see that they're part of a result that was an X increase, or like you said, there was a 600, someone's got to update that stat, 600%. But like when they
up to though, it's up to. It's not an on average, but yeah.
Yeah, like when someone sees the results and the effect that they're having on the company or themselves, like that also really encourages them because they're like, I want to be part of that. I want to be part of the reason that we got to that end result. So I think it's really interesting that you mentioned that because I also feel the same way. I want to move over to the next question and ask you, being in a remote company, did you have any unique challenges when it came to training your advocates? And what advice would you give to other remote marketers wanting to introduce an advocacy program?
I would say because you don't see people all the time, especially, with people all over. Like I mentioned, it was 8:30 for me, 4:30 for them on that call today. Even people in EMEA, I log on, it's 1 p.m. for them. So, you're not necessarily having that much connection with them on a consistent basis. So what I did in Q4 of last year was I created a form that had about 10 questions, 11 questions, and then a few short answer at the bottom, and sent it to a lot of our advocates. I picked people who use it every week, people who rarely use it, people who logged on and had never shared. I made sure to really people in many different regions, different levels of the company, and really tried to, I made it anonymous, and I wanted them to give real feedback because we don't have that ability for me to walk over and say, hey, I noticed you haven't shared in a long time. Is there anything I can do or, anything that you might want? And I think a Teams message might not come across the same way, but anonymous form where I'm actively asking for the feedback and they know that they're going to be protected unless they want to give their name was really beneficial. One of the questions was like, what other topics do you want to see? Some people said, I like the topics we've had so far. And other people mentioned, hey, I don't think, there's enough on AI. I don't think there's enough on ESG. Those are just examples, although the AI one was real. And so, I think it's really good feedback. And then when you can implement that and not only just the next week put AI in, but make sure that, hey, once a month, let's make sure we have a topic, let's make sure we're hitting on that. I think it goes back to like, how do you keep them going? Because they know that their feedback is valuable. And
Yeah.
so doing things like that has been beneficial. And then, yeah, just checking with people who use the platform a lot, making sure that, there's not anything that they are missing out on, or, they've seen that they wish we could hit. Of course, people always post more than we can offer, but that's only beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, I really think that the survey also was a really good idea because number one, it shows that you also really care. Like you're going through all this effort, you want a survey, you want to better the program for everyone, and it's not that you're putting in the hard work behind the scenes, creating all the content, but you're not just like, hey, I'm giving you this, just post it out. This is what I want you to do. You're really showing them that you care about how they feel that they look online, and I think that's really important to show that. And the fact that it's anonymous makes people more comfortable because at the end of the day, you want the hard truth. So it makes it
Yeah.
more comfortable for them to be honest about how they feel, whether it's positive or slightly like more negative than you thought. But at the end of the day, it's not even going to be negative because it's helping you make the program better.
Yeah. It did make it harder to follow up with people.
Yeah,
I realized that
I
after
can
that for the people who were like, if they didn't leave any short answer, but maybe they checked a box of, not always trying to stay connected with the content. It was like, I'm a little unsure who you may be, but
yeah.
just percentage wise, I think was always super helpful.
Yeah, definitely. So with that, we're going to move on to the last question. I say this every episode, but this really is my favorite question to ask my guests. So what is the best piece of social media advice you've ever been given?
Yeah, so I think it's twofold. One is, and I think it's different when you're necessarily talking to people established in the workforce, people who are further into their career, who maybe didn't grow up posting memes on Facebook when they were like 12. But one piece of advice I got in college was, if you're questioning whether to post something or not because of like a confidence reason or something, but because of maybe a nefarious reason, like it's a little out there, don't. Just don't. Because the odds are the benefit that you're going to receive from posting it will not outweigh the negatives that will come with it. Again, having nothing to do with like, oh, I'm afraid to put my viewpoint out there, like a confidence standpoint, or like I don't want people to see that I'm posting, like not anything to do with that, but for a more sinister reason. So that would be number one. And then the second is what I said earlier, which is people, there's so much content on just LinkedIn. Like think about how much social media content you consume. People are not going to always remember what you're going to post. So A, go for it and post. And B, if you want to go and revisit a topic, please do so. Like if you want to send the same link out again in 3 months, like, and you're worried that people are going to say, oh, I just posted about this, they're not. So go for it. Like, I know it kind of contradicts what I said before, but it's the idea that, there's so much content out there. I forget the number, but it's like people scroll X amount of feet per day. Like it's so much. So feel free to, or don't feel any hesitancy to be afraid to get into the conversation. Again, don't do anything that will jeopardize your job or your standing, but feel free to, put yourself out there because everyone else is doing it.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with you. And I also think that if you see something performing well, post it again. But if you need to like vary it in a different way, in a different content type, but don't be afraid to do it again, because as you said, there's so much content to consume online and you're just going to continue to add more value.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with that. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for joining me and telling me all about your employee advocacy program. It's been amazing having you.
Well, thank you so much. This was a very nice invitation and definitely a lot of fun.